Before we begin with the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. It'll really help me out and encourage me to make more content similar to this one. Now without further ado, let's dive into the video. Every popular horror franchise has enjoyed a modern game treatment in recent years. Starting with Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th in 2016 and 2017, we've seen the rebirth of characters from our favorite horror media such as Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. This year we're eating well with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game and a Killer Clowns from Outer Space game on the horizon. However, there's one character I'd like to see receive a modern game port, but I know creating a game around him will be hard, and that game is A Nightmare on Elm Street's Freddy Krueger. We've recently seen Ash Williams receive his own game in Evil Dead the Game last year in 2022. It was a good game in the beginning, but I'll hold off my thoughts on it for now. What I'm proposing for a game idea is a Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash game that is a story-driven game, no multiplayer aspects like Dead by Daylight. You may think I have a vendetta against multiplayer games in recent videos I've posted, but I just prefer horror-based games to be a single-player affair and share my scares on streams with people in the audience, so to speak. The idea I have can incorporate famous locations from the series of movies from Crystal Lake to Elk Grove to Springwood from each franchise respectively. We can also factor in a dream realm as a mechanic of the game. Another idea I have is basing the game narratively around the same comic series, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, as that had a good story in it and it brought the three together. However, adding favorite characters from Ash vs. Evil Dead series may be a potential challenge. There could be a trilogy of single-player games based on these franchises. One game for Freddy, one game for Jason, and one for Ash Williams. I know Ash Williams just received his own game last year and it has some single player missions in it as well. But if we take Ash's game and bring it back to the time of the Evil Dead 2 movie, this is what I'd like to explore. In the game, we can explore Ash's mind before going to the fabled cabin and after. I know with the third movie we may have to bend a few rules as we can create a gap from the end of the second movie to the start of the third to have him battle the Deadites as they follow him back to Elk Grove and harass him until he goes back in time as depicted in the third movie. It's here where Ash can see one of the three Necronomicons, and we as the player can see variations of Freddy and Jason as Deadite. I know making Jason a Deadite and Jason Goes to Hell was not a popular idea at the time, but making these two popular horror icons Deadites helps to tie them together easier. It can even give creative opportunities for how Pamela Voorhees and Freddy acquire the spells they obtain to give themselves their unholy powers. For Jason's solo outing, we can have fun with this one as we can make this multiplayer. No more than 4 players, but we can take his story back to his birth, meet his father Elias, who was supposed to be in the 6th movie, and learn how Pamela picked up her version of the Necronomicon to bring Jason back to life. Here we can have Pamela meet Professor Noby perhaps and fight him and his wife Henrietta for a page or two. Narratively, we can explore these story options here. In Jason's solo game, I wish to add more lore and backstory to Jason's life before his death and give more story to Pamela and the rest of the Voorhees family such as Diana and Elias. Also in the game, we can play it like the Gun Media version of Friday the 13th, where we have to survive Pamela's various attacks over the years until her death at the end of the first movie. When it comes to the events of the first movie, it's here where we witness or play a hand in Jason's death and witness Pamela's desperation to bring her son back to life with the Necronomicon. At the end of this game, we can use it as a bridge to the rest of the movies and connect it to the series. For Freddy's revival game, again, we can dive into his history and lore from the movies as we start with his birth as the bastard son of 100 maniacs. Here, we can explore him being bullied growing up and how this forged him into the Springwood Slasher. We witness the events of him having a happy family life, but being a monster behind the scenes until he is discovered by his wife. Here, we can play through key events of the series and meet characters such as Nancy, Kristen Parker, Neil Gordon, Kincaid, Amanda Kruger, Alice Johnson, and her son Jacob, and lastly, Freddy's daughter Catherine Kruger / Maggie Burrows. I know it seems like a lot to meet all of these key characters, but it's to bring Freddy's events up to where we meet him in Freddy vs. Jason, and also by revising key events such as his birth, upbringing, family life, and death, we can create events before his death of how Freddy learns of and experiences the Necronomicon. A thought I had for how Freddy gains his power and connects him even more to Jason is through Pamela Voorhees herself. When Pamela is stricken with grief and wants to bring Jason back, she recites a spell wrong, giving birth to the dream demons that give Freddy Freddy his powers upon his death. This story I feel would be interesting to see and connect characters now for his gameplay. Have you ever played the original Nightmare on Elm Street on NES? If you haven't, go play it now so we can be on the same page. I know this game has its flaws, but hey, it was a game where you could bring 3 of the friends along for fun as you battle through the streets of Springwood. It has the mechanics of Nightmare on Elm Street correct though. You not only battle Freddy and his mind games, but you also battle to stay awake. These features need to be brought into the modern world. What needs to be maintained gameplay wise is that as our character fights to stay awake or fall asleep, Freddy becomes stronger. There could even be a story written between the events of Freddy vs. Jason that lead to the showdown between Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. For the game where the 3 famous characters meet up, it needs to be epic. In this game, we play as Ash Williams, and we can make it multiplayer by adding Pablo, Kelly, and Brandy from the Ash vs. Evil Dead series. Here, we can ignore the events of the finale from the series, kind of. We can bring up Ash's battle with evil, but pump the brakes on his time travel to the future and disregard that part of the story. Also in this game, we can play as historical legacy characters from each of the movies, such as Nancy, Alice, and Maggie from Nightmare on Elm Street, Steven, Jessica, and Stephanie from Friday the 13th, and Ruby, Ball, and Elagos and Henrietta from the Evil Dead series. However, the Evil Dead characters Ruby, Ball, and Elagos, they can be bonuses for completing the game. Sorry, I like having special reasons to complete a game, such as use of special characters. The human survivors can add something special to fighting the evil spawn from the Necronomicon, while we try to find the book and use its spells to end these evil men for good. I know it would suck having this series end, but 4 games based on these legendary characters would make me very happy. As long as these games and characters are done well and done correctly, these games could connect a new audience and maybe hopefully reignite the desire for the movies. I know Robert Englund and Bruce Campbell are done with these characters in live action, but they did say that they are up for voicing them, just not acting them out in live action. Also, Kane Hodder still does motion capture for Jason in the Friday the 13th game, and recently did motion capture for Leatherface on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. So the big players are there. We just need to get all 3 of them together for one great project, like a game to bring fans of the franchises together and play together as well. This is my proposal for a Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash game that I would love to see become a reality. I love this series of movies, and all they need is a proper adaptation into the realm of modern video games. What are your thoughts? Who's your favorite horror movie character? Would you play the games I proposed here? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next Grim video. If you liked what you just watched, like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'll help the channel grow and encourage me to make more content just like this.